What is up, Raveraide fam? Welcome to another episode of the Raveraide podcast with your host, Tyler Hardy. And today is October 19th, 2022. So we're heading into the winter months, starting to definitely cool down a little bit here in Austin, Texas. But I just wanted to take a moment to express my overwhelming love and gratitude, as always, for each and every single one of you guys who tune in on a daily and weekly basis and support everything that we're doing here at Raveraide, with the main intention to help you become the most self-loved and self-actualized version of yourself that you can possibly be, so then that way you can express and share your gifts to the world, and we can make the world a better place and help solve a lot of the problems that we're facing, as a collective here on the planet. So what we're going to be talking about today, and this is something that has changed really everything in my entire life, compared to how I used to be and who I am today. And I really think that's going to help, benefit you in a lot of ways as well, because it's something that's kind of the opposite of what we've been taught or conditioned to believe or conditioned to do, because this is what society does as a whole. And I think that we can pinpoint some of the issues and causations for reasons why things are the way that they are, currently in life, can be pinned back down to this particular thing. And that is like lack of calmness. And, we're conditioned to, take a bunch of stimulants. We're conditioned to drink coffee. We're conditioned to, be go, 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 and always burning the candle from both ends. And I can tell you right now that eventually will lead to some sort of burnout, or just you not living to your full capacity and not being, feeling as vital as you would like to feel in every single thing that you do. And so to give you guys a little bit of a backstory here, I used to be the classic, young 20-something that was like, constantly taking stimulants, addicted to Adderall, coffee, energy drinks, you name it. All these things are just terrible for my health. As I started learning more, I started realizing how detrimental these things are to our health and how they detract in so many ways, and what it does to our central nervous system and how it affects us spiritually and mentally, and, the cost that's associated to using these things. And so again, like when we've talked about in previous episodes, you think about nature itself, right? Nature is always getting everything done, and it's never in a rush, right? The only thing that likes to rush is humans. Our egos and our impatientness really takes away from a lot of our experiences that we try to have. And so it's important to know that, I'm going to tell you right now, being jacked up and wired and anxious and on the go and, ungrounded and just kind of up in the air, like that's not a quality way to live life. And that's a way that I lived life for a long time, and I think that those things do serve a purpose at a certain juncture. And I think that they can help you kind of push through and do more things on a daily basis. But like things that you really want to be doing, you want to be present, clear, and calm for. And so if you're having to use substances and stimulants and all these things just to get through your day, one, that's not an indication of health. Healthy people don't do that. And healthy people don't, ingest those things. When I was using those things, yeah, maybe I had energy, but I wasn't healthy. And it came at a cost. I lost a good, couple years of my life due to not being healthy. I had to really work to get back to where I'm at now. And luckily I'm in the best health of my life. But I don't want you to lose valuable years of your life and valuable years of experience burning, the candle at both ends. And so it's really important to know that your higher faculties, the best pieces of yourself and who you are at the truest level, is calm, embodied, collected, very focused without being overstimulated. Like it's a power that you're able to, tap into and be and embody. But it doesn't happen when we're, messing with our brainwave frequencies, when we're shooting our adrenal glands and overstimulating them, when we're causing our bodies to be in fight or flight all day because of the coffee or the stimulants or whatever else that you're using that's putting you in that fight or flight mode. And like I mentioned, in the intro of the podcast, like how that's contributing to the rest of the world and how that's contributing to the experiences that we're having as a collective is like we've got all these people who are, super wired, on some sort of stimulant every single day that's jacked up out of their mind. And it's causing people to be ungrounded. It's causing people to be an ego. It's causing people to, not make the best decisions for themselves. and and essentially tax their bodies to the point where one day they're going to have a breakdown of some sort, and that leads to disease, that leads to health complications in the future, which I don't want any of us to have, especially people in the Raveraide community. We want you to be as healthy as humanly possible. And that's why we do things differently here. That's why we don't put stimulants in our product, and that we use nootropics and all the things that we do here is because we don't want to detract from your health. We want to add to your health. We want to contribute to a higher quality of life for you. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we're congruent with the products that we're making. And so going back to it, if you're one of those people who require some sort of stimulant to be able to function on a daily basis, I'm going to tell you right now, that's not normal. That's not health. That's not, the peak of, human existence. The peak of human existence is having, vitality and life force energy that's always available to you because you're tapped in and connected, and your body's a channel for that and has the ability to, freely flow and generate energy as needed, versus, reaching for something outside of us to, give us artificial energy. It's not real energy that you're creating. It's something that you're pulling from, an already empty battery source. And eventually over time, like there's not going to be much more to pull from that source. And that's when we start seeing breakdown of our systems in our body and our organs, and, our mental health, starts to, decrease over time, and all the things that are associated to burnout. And so I see so many people that are just burnt out. I see so many people that are, not living in, their full potential, or even a fraction of it for that matter. And it's because of a lot of the things that they ingest into their bodies that are overstimulating their body. Like I can't even tell you guys how much better my quality of life has been since I quit drinking coffee. That was a huge one. I love the taste of coffee. I love the coffee taste. It was like a morning ritual for me. But I realized how much of a side effect all the caffeine, what it was doing to my adrenals, what it was doing to my baseline, state of being in regards to I was always feeling super constricted and super anxious, and it was causing me to create experiences that were, reflecting that back to me, because we've talked about in previous episodes, you are the vibrational center point of every single thing in your life. And so if you're anxious naturally and your body's anxious due to stimulants or whatever it is that you're using, then that's going to create experiences that are going to reflect back to you that belief system and that state of being, and you're going to get a lot more of that. So I started realizing, okay, this isn't really conducive for my health. I'm needing to drink 2-3 cups of coffee a day just to be able to get through the day, and it puts me in a place where you keep having to pull from an empty place, and you keep having to force your body into these chemical reactions just to be able to function. Something's got to give at some point, right? And so when that happened, I hit that burnout phase of, crashing. My hormones were all over the place just from, the TRT and all these different things that I was doing, and coming off of nicotine and all these chemicals. I was so chemically altered by all the things that I was ingesting that my body just said, okay, we've had enough. You're not taking good care of it. It shut down. And, one of my favorite quotes on that I've ever heard in my life is, a healthy man has 1,000 wishes and an unhealthy man only has one. So when we lose our health, all we can think about is getting healthy again, being able to do the things that we take for granted on a daily basis, and being able to actually really, live a vital, thriving lifestyle. And so it's really important, I guess the reason that I'm emphasizing this particular episode so much is because it's super important to not lose your health, especially, a big demographic that we serve is the rave community, right? And so it takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your neurochemistry to, be doing all the things that are associated with going to music festivals without getting too far into it. It's a lot with the sleep deprivation and, not eating properly when we're at music festivals, and all these different things that are contributing to a degradation of your health long term. We don't want those things for you. And that's why we create the supplements that we do to help mitigate that risk and help out as much as possible, and make sure that your body's staying in as good of a state of homeostasis as possible. And then you pair that with, the Ascended Raver program, which gives you a bunch of different holistic health modalities in which you can use to help out with maintaining a good level of homeostasis and being able to maintain a high quality of health while you're at the festivals and outside of the festivals. And so it's just super, super important to know that, my quality of life has gotten so much better. And I encourage you to look at those things and ask yourself, like, are you using substances on a daily basis that are detracting from your health, that are detracting from your quality of life? And be honest with yourself. It's one of those things where it's like, it was hard to give up the coffee for a little bit. There was definitely some withdrawals with it, but it was one of those things that it added to so much quality of life that I'm having because I don't use it. And every now and again, I'll have coffee just to almost remind myself of how much of a detractant it's been for my quality of life. And I'm not saying that coffee is terrible for every single person, but for me, where I tend to, hyper react and get, very stimulated very easily, it was definitely not conducive for my mental clarity and especially my calmness, right? Because when we're calm, going back to, kind of what this episode's about, is that calmness is a superpower, is being calm, present, and embodied allows you to see the truth in everything. It allows you to see the full scope of the picture. So then that way you can make better decisions for yourself. You can take more affirmative action that's going to be in the right direction rather than, someone else who, is anxious is reflecting something back to you, and then you make a knee-jerk reaction that causes you to make a decision that's not, for your highest good, or not, it doesn't allow you to see the whole picture and what the true possibilities are for you. And so I always felt so speedy and racy, and like it just wasn't the quality of life that I was wanting to have. And so giving that up has been a huge thing in regards to like my calmness and clarity and ability to tap into like more spiritual gifts and being able to tap into, being a better podcaster, being a better business person, because it allows me to stay calm and present and in my body, which is something that we're not taught. We're taught to go, work all the time, self-sacrifice, make sure everybody else is taken care of, and then we focus on ourselves last, right? And that's not how it's meant to be. Our main focus and purpose here is to, one, exist, and you don't have to put any parameters or labels or anything on it, but just to exist, to enjoy experiences with ourselves and others, to get to know ourselves on a deeper level, so that way we can get to know others on a deeper level and love others on a deeper level. And then also just, like I mentioned, just be here, right? And so we can't accomplish that when we're in a place of being overstimulated and our systems in our body are being taxed and used way more than they should be. And as a result of that, we're seeing people who are really young burning out. We're seeing people become more depressed and anxious and disconnected and disassociated from reality. And the reason for that is because they're not taking the time to sit down. They're not taking the time to, have good self-care routines and prioritize their health and prioritize their body and prioritize the things that actually matter, and they're trading their health for things of short-term gratification. And we don't want that. We want you to be able to thrive and be healthy and happy at all things that you do. And so we really were keeping that at the forefront of our mind when we created Raveraide, because of the fact that this isn't just for music festivals. This is for day-to-day optimization. This is for day-to-day optimization with your neurochemistry and replenishment of all your vitamins and minerals and salts and all the things that your body needs to be able to function at its highest frequency. And so, we use the L-theanine in the product to help reduce anxiety levels that, a lot of people live in. So then that way they can be calm, present, and clear. So that way they can stand in their power and make decisions for themselves that are going to be for their highest quality and for their highest good. So then that way they can actually make those decisions that propel them towards a greater potential that we all have available to us at any given time when we decide to actually commit ourselves to the things that are most important and that actually matter. And so, take an inventory, like I mentioned, of just the things that you might be ingesting or consuming on a daily basis that are detracting from your quality of life. And then slowly work to move those things out of your life, because by the time you do that, like a lot of the anxiety that people identify to is due to the chemical substances that they choose to put into their body. Nicotine was a huge one for me. Like that was one of those ones where, it definitely didn't contribute in any way, shape, or form to my health, but I was using it as a dopamine lever, anytime that I was stressed out, which, because I didn't have good state management. I was working a stressful job and I wasn't taking the best care of myself, like it was easy to reach for that and give myself that immediate gratification. And it, came at the expense of a lot of things in my body that I've had to heal and take the time to, restore and recover, when I could have just not done those things to begin with. But I do believe that there's perfection in all things. And I think part of that is to help other people who are, maybe struggling with that same thing, and letting go of those things. And I think the way that I was able to really stop doing those things, and I think that this is the practical and tactical information that I want to share with you on how to get to that point. If you're one of those people that are in that place where you have a lot of these things that you're using as crutches to be able to function, the way in which you are able to actually make a change is by changing your association to that thing. So what I mean by that is, instead of using, coffee or nicotine or whatever it is that you're struggling with, and looking at it like, this is the thing that helps me function, this is the thing that helps me be better, or whatever helps me even wake up every single day, it's one of those things where you have to change the association towards, this thing's actually killing me, and this thing is not helping in any way, shape, or form, and is not conducive for my highest level of health, my highest quality, and my highest existence. And as a result of that, I can't, out of self-love, keep doing this. And that's how I was able to quit using nicotine and coffee, was because I was making that a positive association that I had to it before, where I thought it was helping me, and I turned it into a negative association of, yeah, this doesn't help me. This is detracting from my quality of life. This is detracting from my presence. This is detracting from, every single thing that I'm doing in my life in the direction that I'm wanting to head. And out of the fact that I do love myself, then I'm not going to keep doing these things. I'm not going to keep subjecting myself to these things and spending money that I've, worked hard for to detract from my health. And that's been a huge, shift, a complete 180 in my life. And it's resulted in a much higher quality of living across the board, because like all the things I put my resources towards are for my greater good and for my benefit. And so if you're someone who's struggling with like letting something go, it's your association that you have to it that's making it hard to let go. And it's that association to, oh, this thing is helping me. This thing is like a crutch. This thing is making my life better. I need this. I have to have this. That's what's keeping you stuck, versus, hey, you know what? Even though it does provide some, immediate relief or, help in some way, shape, or form, the long-term expense that I'm trading that out for is not worth it. And out of self-love, I have to stop. I have to give this up, and I get to give this up. And as a result of that, I'm going to be more free. I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to be more vibrant, because when you start to see the value of why letting something go would be beneficial, it's easier to do that. Not depriving yourself either. I think that was one area that, was a little bit tricky, especially with nicotine in particular, was I would use nicotine and I use it as a reward mechanism without realizing what it was doing to my dopamine. And I got to a point where I had thrown them away a couple times, and I ended up going back to it. And then I realized, I was like, the thing is I have to basically keep this thing next to me. So I had another one, and I kept it with me all the time. And I used the power of reassociating myself to it to quit. And so I looked at it and said, okay, like I want to, but I know that it's not good for me. And if you say you love yourself, then you won't keep doing this, because that would be an incongruency. And if I'm being incongruent with myself, I'm incongruent with others. I'm incongruent with, the things that matter to me. And Raveraide didn't exist at that time, but had I been doing this now, I'd be able to say the same thing. Like, okay, we're about health and wellness, but you're doing this thing that's incongruent with that, so that's got to go, right? And so it's all about making the why and the reason more compelling than the current reason that you have to use it or to continue that bad habit. Like, that's how change happens. That's how we make the change. It's not the thing itself. The nicotine is still the nicotine. The coffee is still the coffee. The prescription, amphetamines, they're the same thing. They didn't change at all, but my association to them did. Changing your association to these things is how we make the change. We know that snake is poisonous, so we stay away from it, right? And some people don't know that, and then they get bit by the snake, and then, something happens. And so it's one of those things where, you have to make that association and that knowing that's not going to be good for you. That's not going to, contribute to your overall quality of health. and your life that you're wanting to have. And as a subsequent result of that, it puts us in a place where we, have to choose the thing that's best for us. And it takes time, it takes effort. You might stumble and fall a couple of times, but I'm telling you, like, you don't want to pay the tab for your health going out the window. Like, you don't want to pay the tab and the price of losing your health. And I've lost my health on numerous occasions because of lack of awareness, ingesting so many things that were not good for me, frequency, all these different things. It ended up causing my systems to not work properly and the energy to not flow through them correctly. And the good news is that no matter, really where you're at, you can always recover and you can get to a higher level of health and a greater level of health than you've ever been at before by, doing the right things, like what we mentioned in the Ascended Raver program, and taking the right supplements such as Raveraide and, amino acids and all the things that we do here. We really want to make sure that we're helping people, have like a one-stop shop for the absolute best content and information on how to take good care of ourselves inside and outside of music festivals or just in day-to-day life. So that way we're seeing more optimized humans that, stand in their power and, stand up for what they believe in and do what they're passionate about and share their gifts with the world. Like, that's what this is all about. The product is just the thing that we offer to people to help them get there, plus the education, the content that we create as well. But at the end of the day, it's about you transforming into what I know you're capable of being, and you're so much more powerful than any particular substance. The power of your mind is so much more powerful. You are more powerful than any sort of addiction that you may have. And I can speak on this. Like, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you've experienced. Like, your mind is more powerful than any of these things. But the most important thing is you have to believe and know that and embody that. And then you no longer have these things that are outside of you that have power and control over you. Once you reclaim that power and you see what was lost and what the consequence of giving that power away was, that's when we become even more powerful internally. And that's when we were able to make decisions continuously that are pulling us towards the quality of life that we expect for ourselves and the greatest potential outcome. And that's what I want for you guys more than anything. Above all else, I just want people to be able to, have sovereignty and be able to choose what's the best thing for them and act upon that and make a beautiful life for themselves out of that through all the decisions that they get to make. So I'm going to wrap up today's episode, guys. Just remember, like, calmness is the superpower. Being present and embodied and not overstimulated is the key to really seeing situations in their totality and seeing opportunities that you may have missed, due to being too wired up or stimulated or stressed or burned out or, adrenally fatigued. Being calm, present, and knowing that this is a very long game that we're all getting to play here is the key to really getting what you want out of life. It takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes effort, over the long term, not these short sprints that are going to make you great in whatever it is that you decide to do. So without further ado, guys, be sure to check us out at www.drinkraveraide.com. And my name is Tyler Hardy. I hope you guys had an amazing time listening to this episode, and be sure to integrate anything that resonated and felt true for you, so then that way you can actually start actualizing that best version of yourself that we want to see here at Raveraide. So peace, guys. Hope you have a great day.